Hi everyone, it's Viktor speaking, and I'm here with Tsveti to discuss how the Mercury in Aries is going to be playing out for us. I think, thank God, because Mercury in Pisces is not the strongest position, and I kind of felt it because I think I had 11 clients within 2 weeks who missed their appointment, and yes, Mercury in Pisces is a little bit scattered and overwhelmed, and yes, a little bit forgetful as well. And now it's going to be changing signs. So I'm quite excited. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. And this Mercury in Pisces, it's actually still in Pisces while we are making this video. It has a good side because we tend to become really forgetful and things get really slower in terms of thinking because Mercury rules our thinking patterns and our communication style. But it has a positive side because it helps us unwind the mind a bit. Otherwise, we get too hot somehow and to sometimes even irrational in our decisions. So Mercury in Pisces slowed me down definitely in that sense.
Well, Mercury is all about business transactions. So if you would like to get a career reading for us, from us, for instance, then you will be able to see the link to our profile in the description box. But without any further ado, let's get started. So what do you feel this Mercury in Aries might bring for us?
This Mercury, well, initially when thought about this Mercury in Aries coming into the sign, I think on the 4th of April, 4th, 5th, um, I was thinking, wow, Mars is just in Gemini, like triggering our communication in a very tensed and a very Martian way. And now Mercury is getting into Aries, which is the sign of Mars, thus highlighting this energy again. So when we think about Mercury, it's actually our ability to solve material issues and our communication style and the way people communicate between each other, and also it identifies the need to communicate with people and to connect with them, as you mentioned, trade, commerce, advertising, and practically any profession related to communication and to negotiations, to business. And so it's when it is in Aries, Mercury can become really sharp in its expression because Aries is a fire sign. It's a cardinal energy, so it will want dynamics. It will want to make quick decisions. It will want to really go to the next point immediately if possible. It might be too much talking and much less listening, and it might be a bit self-centered even in a way, and it can be very deliberate indeed as well. So straightforward, very clear in communication as well, because that's what Aries is. They put the cards on the table, they say what they mean in a very direct way, and they move on. So I think that there will be this energy of really being able to move on in terms of decisions. And maybe we should also pay a little bit more attention to planning. And because Aries is a cardinal sign, as I mentioned, and they tend to be a little bit easily bored, and they really want to move on further with the next thing. So Aries is the initial spark of something. It shows enthusiasm, and it's very passionate energy to start something new, to go into, to get to know something new. And with Mercury in Aries, it can be like we are jumping from topic to topic and not really being able to complete what we started. So with Mercury in Aries, I think that this will be the main topic. A very active mind, very restless mind, and very impatient indeed.
You know, I would like just to get some technical stuff out of the way. So Mercury is still currently in the sign of Pisces, as we said. It has been conjunct in Neptune currently. Uh, and Mercury was in fall and detriment in the sign of Pisces, but it goes into a sign where it is a lot more like neutral. Let's say it's neutral, which is not necessarily true because actually Mercury has got 30% strength between the 14 to 21 degree of Aries. So especially between the 11th to the 15th of April, Mercury and topic in your chart can pick up. So have a look at what Mercury rules, first of all. Maybe it rules your seventh house, then the relationship department, business partnership can be picking up, or maybe it's ruling your 10th house. So things finally start moving forward, for instance, in career development and so forth. So Mercury will be in the sign of Aries till the 19th of April. Actually, it's going to be spending only 2 weeks here. And the reason being is because Mercury is quite fast when it's getting closer to the sun. So it almost moves 2 degrees a day. And we also need to remember that Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. So it never goes more than 28, 29 degrees away. So this Mercury is going to slow down once it's pulled away from the sun a little bit later on. And yes, this Aries is a male and the fiery sign. So, the symbol of Aries is the head of the goat. And Aries wants to use its head a lot, right? Sometimes way too much as well because it's banging the wall also. But with Mercury, which is the planet of planning and organization skills and the logic and something to do with your analytical mind, I feel like the positive side of it, it's especially if this Mercury is aspecting great planets in your chart, then it could become a little bit more like, a thinker rather than trying to rush things forward. I feel like this period of time may pose some type of chances to participate in debates, discussions, sometimes arguments as well with people. So it's definitely worth listening to, for instance, elderly people. Why is that? Because Aries and Mercury are both somehow represents the youth. And we might not have got enough experience, we might not have got enough wisdom, and like our elderly people do so. So, and some of these little arguments and debates can actually, you know, cause a setback in your life. So you're gonna definitely have to pay attention to, because Aries represents something to do with the speed, right? So that's one thing definitely to pay attention to. So, but Mercury is very much about your thought process, your mind, your intellect. So actually, and Aries is very much about the me energy. It can be sometimes self-centered. So the mind can be racing, but we can be extremely enthusiastic about some type of projects, business transactions, business opportunities as well. And it can be, sometimes a little bit overwhelming. Maybe if this Mercury is going through your 10th house at the moment, workplace can be quite hectic. You might be coming up with plenty of idea, and here you're gonna have to take notes, because we can easily, jump from one idea to another, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And yeah, go.
And Mercury here definitely wants to deliver the point across, because we want things to be done in a certain way. And if it doesn't work like that, then eventually, it can be frustrating. And Mercury rules something to do with the nerve system. So we can be agitated, we can be quite nervous, we can be quite hasty and hectic as well. But when it comes to things like the anatomy part, Mercury rules over your hands, your shoulders, your lungs, your breathing. And because spring is coming, people need to be watching out, allergy, because it could cause some type of heavy breathing for them. But also, it is very possible that something is, you can cut your hand, for instance, or something which is going to be agitating your mind. Yeah, and when it comes to Aries, which does rule over inflammation, so actually some of your muscles, some of the nerves can get trapped or can get inflamed in your body as well.
Yeah, it looks like the possibility of having fever of the nervous system in a way, like, but yeah, when you mentioned this, like a kind of a remedy to talk to elderly people, because Mercury and Aries rule youth energy, I was thinking that Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo, so the opposite signs actually are ruled by Jupiter, which is Sagittarius and Pisces. So really, yeah, talking to people who are even not elderly, but could give us a wise advice about something, could give us the long-term goal, why we are doing something, to just follow through until the end of a project, so that we know it's good to be assertive, and it's good to put your point through so that others can see it and possibly agree on it. But it also is good to remember that yeah, we need to be working on a long-term goal. And when we use this energy, we can, extend it in time. Yeah. So it's really great that you mentioned it. And yeah, actually Mercury, because it also rules the hands, and Aries is a very dynamic energy. Some sports could be really a nice outlet of this energy, because as they say in Bulgarian, I believe in any other country, when the hands are busy, the mind is calm.
Yeah, oh yeah,
So
that's a nice
yeah.
saying, surely, for this.
So it's a nice thing, I think, to really try and manifest this energy through some physical effort, if it's too much in the head.
When it comes to Aries higher manifestation, basically it's about pioneering energy. So this is actually a great period of time for public speech or motivating others. Aries is very much about developing a self-determining individuality, being ahead of the pack, standing up for having the courage, learning about having the courage to speak up and breaking new grounds and fighting for the underdogs as well. But Mercury, as the planet of intelligence, it does it in an intelligent way. It wants to understand its birthright. With Mercury, which is all about learning, studying, this is a great period of time to develop on the ego as well. So it's not just about initiating and winning and being the first, but we can actually stand up for our rights or stand up for other people's, rights also. But Aries' worst side is that sometimes it just wants to be in other people's shadow, right? So, I'm a little bit scared actually that the beautiful weather is coming out, and we do know that in certain countries, the youth tends to be causing some type of problem. And, when Aries is not functioning its best way, then those youngsters wants to be in the shadow of others. So actually they gather together, and then they could be starting fights and some arguments with others, right? But
Yeah.
also Aries, when it's not functioning the bestest way, then it plays kind of like a support role, right? And instead of having an intelligent discussion, it is actually generating conflicts. And one of the reasons is because, psychologically speaking, an Aries rising sign, for instance, is always told to slow down, right? Especially when they are a child. And that doesn't really work for Aries. Aries doesn't need to be apologetic. Aries needs to get ahead of the pack and becoming the winner. And yes, Aries needs to defend itself. So with that Mercury, we can, we might be, we just might need to step back a little bit, and then analyzing of any type of situation which is ahead of us, and then being smarter than others. So Aries, use your head, basically, right? That's what Mercury wants there. And have a little bit of a strategy there as well, because many people don't really recognize, but Aries is the soldier. And it does have a logical side as well, because a soldier is never going to win the battle if it doesn't use its logic, right? It has to create a strategy. So yes, on certain hand, definitely Aries sometimes needs to step back a little bit to look at the bigger picture rather than just running after something which is, ahead of them because they want to grab it. So this Mercury is actually very good to make short-term plans or to make short-term strategies to achieve something immediately, but that might be affecting the long-term goals as well in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, when you mentioned the warrior, Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars also rules Scorpio, which is actually dealing with strategies and knowing why you are going to fight somebody. So I think that this side of Mars, especially when it's retrograde in the natal chart, it also really manifests this type of strategic energy, and I think that Aries is in touch with it indeed. So having a strategy and knowing what the long-term goal is about something is really nice. And with Mercury in Aries, if we were shy, if we are more shy in our communication, if for example in our natal chart Mercury is not so well placed, it receives some hard aspects from Saturn, for example, and gets somehow afflicted by it. And we tend to be more silent. Maybe with Mercury in Aries, we will feel more courage, as you mentioned before, to speak up and to say our own truth, because Aries is very it first speaks. When Mercury is in Aries, it first speaks and then thinks. So it gives this immediate impulse that we might miss in our natal chart, and it will give us the chance to really say our own truth and to see how others will react, to see if that is something really so bad as we think, or maybe it's not. Maybe we have something wise to say, because Mercury rules our wisdom as well in a way, and how we communicate it to others. So I think that with Mercury transiting through Aries, even though it's only for a couple of weeks, we might get in touch with this energy of being able to speak up and to share our own truth with the world in a way. Yeah.
When I recorded this video for my YouTube channel as well, where, by the way, I went through some of the what each sign can expect, but I even forgot to mention there, which just popped into my mind, that there is a mutual reception going on
Yes.
between Mercury and Mars. So if
Mhm.
some of you doesn't know what mutual reception means, that mutual reception is basically a reciprocal exchange between two planetary archetypes, meaning that Mercury is being in the sign of Aries and Mars is being in the sign of Gemini. So they have swapped places. And mutual reception is something which is enhancing the energy of others, especially if there is some type of aspect going on between them too. Now, because one is Gemini, the other one is Aries, actually there is a sign-based sextile, and somewhere around the 15th to the 19th of April, when actually Mercury is going to be in its turn position, it's going to be making an exact sextile with Mars as well. So this is this is very much about, I feel like, a dominating energy, especially when it comes to the youth, when it comes to school matters. So I'm thinking maybe we're going to get some news about online schools, or maybe something to do with online education, or how the education is going to be going forward in certain countries. So yeah, I kind of find it, fascinating how it goes.
Yeah. And actually, on the 5th of April, the schools are opening in Bulgaria again. So at least younger students, which are until the 4th grade, are going back to the classrooms, and online schooling will be over for a little while again. So is it a coincidence or not?
Okay, interesting. What I'm thinking also, because this mutual reception is happening in air and fire signs, and we do need to remember it could be it could be particularly volatile as well, because the air feeds the fire,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
So yes, it is definitely something which is good to pick this period to initiate, to kind of maybe to initiate a project. But it was also a period of time when we can have some arguments with siblings or cousins or neighbors,
Yeah.
right? Because Mercury, which is a cold and dry energy, and Mars is a hot and dry energy. So the only common ground between the two planets is that dryness, which is actually shrinking things, right? So we can actually insult someone with our intelligence. We do need to be thinking twice before saying something in anger,
Yeah.
right? Because eventually you can't take that back, and it can be quite brutal and cutting as well, or don't be shocked if we start, or you're gonna start, or people around you gonna start saying something rude, or maybe a couple of swear words flying around here and there, right?
Yeah.
Because this is a very straightforward energy. um, um, we might want to be rushing things, or we are a little bit doing things in a hasty and agitated
Yeah.
way. So
Yeah.
something could be happening also which is driving you a little bit angry, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe this is
And
gonna be also a very possible energy of some type of social media um, quarrels, for
oh
instance.
yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with what you say, and also think that the speech could become a little bit off-putting and alienating, and maybe a little bit offensive if we don't really mind our speech and the way we talk to others. We can become a bit more aggressive and not actually realize it. Because in our drive, ambition, passion to say what we want, we wouldn't let others speak, and we wouldn't listen actually as well. And yeah, this could cause conflict, definitely, I think, as well. So we really need to be careful. And yeah, the mutual reception with Mars, actually, we also, especially that we had this square between Mars and Mercury last month, over the last week even, it's quite fresh as an experience. Yeah, I think we got in touch with this negative manifestation, actually, of Mercury in Aries, a possible negative manifestation, I mean, because when Mercury was square Mars, everyone around me was having some conflict with friends or neighbors or even siblings, and some miscommunication. One says one thing, the other understands something else, or didn't listen. And even on a global level, there was this Suez Canal was like stuffed, and yeah, trading was stopped. And yeah, so it's a kind of this energy when Mercury manifests on the more negative plane. Something gets blocked, we can't go on, even though we want. This is a pushy energy. We want to keep on moving, but it's not possible. So yeah, we need to be really a bit more, to try to calm down the mind a bit, and maybe start some project related to deep research about something, and have the initial spark, have the plan, the schedule, because Mercury also rules Virgo. So Virgo is all about plan and schedule. So we will be good at planning and scheduling in the initial part of the project, but then we really need to carry on with this energy, to keep the fire burning in a way within us, to find something that will keep the fire burning, because later, if we look at the whole cycle of Mercury, after Aries, it will enter Taurus, and there, when it's in earth energy, it will want to manifest already what we initiated. So we should really carry this in mind as well.
Absolutely. You know, we can even have a great thoughts, actually.
Yeah,
You know,
insight, really.
so when it comes to a couple of area of life we might want to be mentioning, you know, when for instance, how is the money affected here, right? So actually, as we said, it's very good for business transactions, and it's very good to come up with some new ways of earning money. But when it comes to spending money, actually, you know, fire is burning, so we can easily burn money as well with that, you know, or we might be easy to take a gamble on, you know, and it may pay off, but then again, it may not, right? So an impulse buying is also a thing which we need to mention with this aspect, because we can be yearning for instant gratification. When it comes to social life, you know, it could indicate an increased activity, for instance, in the park, in the neighborhood, or just overall in the social sphere. And of course, it is at the moment not really possible in person, but Mercury and that Mars might innovate other ways and means of exchanging ideas. When it comes to family matters, you know, Mercury in Aries can be a little bit fiery and restless. It is not the most patient placement of all time. So, you know, we can have some type of irritation and conflict within our family. So, you know, if there is any debate, heated debate, you know, occurring within the family, then maybe it's better to actually channel the energy into some playfulness or trying to control your energy. When it comes to our work life, well, that's something to do with being busy, most probably. But Mercury in Aries wants to do his things in its own way, right? So here, the flexibility and the adaptability are the most important qualities which are needed to kind of get ahead, you know, during the lockdown, for instance, or trying out new approaches to daily activities. Um, those could be changing quite a lot. When it comes to love matters, meaning that your seventh house is getting the most active, you know, we can be, if you are single especially, we can become quite flirtatious, we can become quite bold. So what happens is that some of you ladies might not need to be shocked if after walking in the park, for instance, with your doggies, someone is going to check you up and they want to get your phone number, and they can become a little bit pushy as well. But in an existing relationship, you know, some of the debates might cause a little bit of a friction between two people, right? And when it comes to lastly, oh yeah, we've already mentioned Korea. Okay, do you have anything else to add for us?
Not really. I think we covered pretty nicely and in detail Mercury in Aries. And yeah, I hope that people will be more aware of the energy of this transit. Although it's a short-term one, it can lead to really long-term consequences. So it's really important to yeah, to be careful with our sharp tongue because yeah, Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars rules sharp objects, and Mercury rules the tongue and our speech and our communication style. So it's really important to be really careful about how we speak to others, because they're gonna stay here even after Mercury's transit is over in Aries. So we really need to be mindful about this, I think. And yeah,
Yeah, it's
nothing
very
else to
hard to
add
bite
indeed.
your tongue when Mercury is in
Yeah.
in the sign of Aries, especially with a mutual reception with Mars. And you know
Yes.
what also came to my mind is that at by the time Mercury moves into Aries, Mars is still going to be around North Node. There is still going to be a conjunction between them too. So indicating to me that because Mercury is ruling the North Node at the moment,
Yes.
it can be something which is going to be, you know, it's not a short period of time which this Mercury in Aries is going to be affecting us. But I think in the long run as well,
Mm,
especially this year, we're going to feel this Mercury in Aries a lot more.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, because of that mutual reception, and then eventually Mercury in 1.5 months gonna be actually going into the sign of Gemini as well. So something will unfold in the next couple of months in a Mercury and a Mars ways.
Yes, and maybe on a positive note, we can use this Mercury and its passion to motivate others and to help them go out of their comfort zone for a while and to try out something new, and thus use the energy of this Mercury in Aries in a more supportive way. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for coming around and listening to our weekly chat. And if you like the video, don't forget to give us a big fat like. And also, if you want, share the video with others as well. Thank you, Tsveti, for joining me. And we're going to be back with our next new moon and full moon series in the next couple of weeks.
yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me, and yeah, I hope that everyone will be able to benefit from the video. Put your comments below as usual. I will try to reply, and yeah, see you soon, everyone.
See you, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.